The first time I realized I had married the wrong man was at the airport. The sunlight was blinding that day. I was dragging my suitcase, following behind my husband, Ethan. Crowds flowed past us, but he kept glancing around, nervous. I asked what he was looking for. He didn't answer, just said, "You'll see." I thought maybe he'd planned some kind of romantic surprise. Then I saw her, his mother. She stood in the corner of the departure hall, wearing a bright purple coat. Her hair was the same cheap, reflective purple, the exact shade I'd dyed mine 2 months earlier. She once laughed at my hair, said the color was for rebellious teenagers. Now she had dyed hers the same, smiling radiantly as she opened her arms to hug her son. Ethan smiled back, his eyes soft and obedient. I froze. The air around me felt like it had solidified. She turned to me, cheerful, surprise. "I booked my ticket ages ago." I didn't respond. I just turned and started walking toward the exit. Ethan caught up, lowering his voice, urgent. "What are you doing?" "She's already here." "Who invited her?" I asked. He hesitated for 2 seconds. That was enough. The ticket, he had bought it. I pulled my hand away. "You two go ahead." He called after me, but I didn't hear a word. Ethan and I had been married 3 years. On our wedding day, his mother held my hand and smiled. "Take good care of him. He's my precious boy." To others, that smile might have looked gentle. To me, it was a declaration of ownership. When we first met, she looked me up and down and said, "You look unique." It sounded like a compliment, but her tone was more like an inspection. After that, she always had new suggestions. My clothes didn't suit my skin tone. My hairstyle was too bold. I worked too much to be a good wife. Every word carried a quiet blade. Ethan would always say, "That's just how she is, sharp tongue, soft heart." I believed him. But her knife never stopped cutting. Then one day, she changed. Suddenly, she was nice. She praised my clothes, my cooking, even asked what perfume I wore. But it didn't feel like affection, it felt like imitation. She bought the same shoes as me, wore my jacket in another color. And the day she dyed her hair the same purple, everyone gasped. She just smiled and said, "We look like mother and daughter, don't we?" That night, she texted me, "The style you like, I used to have it too." I stared at those words and felt a chill crawl over my skin. Ethan was her only child. Her love for him was obsessive, almost pathological. Even at 30, she called him baby. When he worked late, she video called to check on him. When we went on dates, she demanded updates. It felt like she was always watching. I told him it made me uncomfortable. He just smiled. "She's lonely." But it wasn't loneliness, it was possession. She would show up at our door unannounced, saying she was in the neighborhood. At dinner, she'd criticize the dishes I cooked. "Ethan doesn't like this." At family gatherings, she'd joke that I had stolen her son. And Ethan always stayed silent. I started to wonder if I was overreacting until that trip. I had planned the vacation for 6 months. Saved money, booked hotels, made an itinerary. All I wanted was time alone with him. His only task was to buy the plane tickets. Later, I found out he'd bought 2 extra, one for himself, one for his mother. A week before we left, he said, "Mom wants to come too." I was firm. "This trip is for just the 2 of us." He nodded, like he understood. The next day, she called me crying, yelling, accusing me of being unfilial. She even threatened to call the police, saying I was kidnapping her son. I hung up and asked Ethan, "Did you tell her?" He sighed. "She always finds out." That night, he said, "If she doesn't come, she'll fall apart." I laughed. "Then let her." He didn't argue. Just said softly, "I'll handle it." I thought he meant it. But at the airport, when I saw her smiling in that same purple coat, I realized he hadn't handled anything. She hugged him first, triumphant. "I was worried you two wouldn't manage on your own, so I came along." I felt nothing. Not even anger, just a blank quiet. I turned and walked away. Ethan ran after me. I stopped and asked, "You bought her ticket, didn't you?" Silence. That silence was the answer. "You lied to me." "I just didn't want another fight." "You lied to please her." He looked lost, like a boy caught doing something wrong. When I got home, I dropped my luggage on the floor. The dog came over and rested his head on my lap. I buried my face in his fur and finally broke down. I'd cried before, but never like that. An hour later, the door burst open. Ethan stormed in, face red. "What the hell are you doing? You ruined our trip over this." "I ruined it? Who bought the ticket? You could have ignored it. She just wanted to come along." "She's not coming along, Ethan. She's controlling you." He sneered. "You're paranoid. She just loves me. And you? Do you love me?" He froze, then changed the subject, accusing me of being selfish and dramatic. He even called my family, saying I'd thrown a tantrum and ruined everything. My mother sighed over the phone. "He's just being filial. Don't be so harsh." And in that moment, I realized no one would ever speak for me. The next few days, we barely talked. He spent hours on video calls with her. Through the door, I heard her say, "Don't give in to her. Marriage is about endurance." I leaned against the door and almost laughed. That night, I dreamed I was on a plane alone. No fights, no voices, just quiet wind outside the window. When I woke, the pillow was wet. I started thinking, if life continued like this, what would I become? A ghost in a 3-person marriage, suffocating under comparisons, silence, and blame. The next morning, I packed my clothes. The dog rested his chin on my suitcase, watching quietly. Ethan was in the living room. "Where are you going now?" "My sister's." "You really plan to get divorced?" "I'm not arguing anymore. I just realized you already made your choice." He scoffed, opened the door. "Then go." I looked at him once. Didn't say goodbye. My sister lived on the outskirts of town in a small, quiet house. That night, she made me tea. The dog curled up beside the bed asleep. I didn't sleep. I replayed everything from the past 3 years, his mother's sharp words, his endless compromises, my constant surrender. I used to think marriage meant understanding each other. Now I know it just meant I was the only one trying to understand. The next morning, Ethan's message arrived. "You ended everything with your own hands." I didn't reply. I deleted his number, blocked his mother's calls. For the first time, I felt light. That afternoon, I walked the dog by the river. The sunlight hurt my eyes, the wind was cold, but it felt clean. I realized I'd spent years trying to be the perfect wife in their eyes, but they never meant for me to truly belong. To them, I was an intruder, a tolerated outsider. His mother never wanted me as his wife, and he was never ready to be my husband. This wasn't a sudden collapse, it was a long, quiet awakening. The final act of someone who had been pushed too far for too long. Now, I don't hope he'll change. I don't need to prove anything. I just want a life that belongs to me. Maybe the future will be lonely, maybe difficult. But at least, I finally get to choose my own direction. Sometimes leaving isn't failure. It's finally understanding that real love doesn't make you smaller. That night, I sat on the balcony, watching the city lights flicker on one by one. The dog slept at my feet. I stroked his fur and smiled. Maybe this was the first real beginning of my life.